Hi there, Warriors, and welcome to the Uruguayan Heroes YouTube channel. And today I'm back here with Alessandro. Alessandro, good to have you here, man.
Thanks for having me once again. There's a lot to talk about.
There is for sure. And I think the first topic to discuss, because it's nice to see our players do well, and also because it's someone who's not always received the most love from Uruguayans, is Christian Stuani. Who would have thought that in 2023 it was Stuani who scored two goals in Spain or in Europe anyway, and Cavani and Suarez are back in South America. It's quite something, I think.
It just shows you the longevity of Stuani. I mean, he's been doing it for so many years. I think he fits. I think more so than looking at him individually, he fits the system of Girona perfectly. Everything for that attack is made for someone like Stuani. But
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see if he gets called up.
that's interesting because it seems like Suarez and Cavani are not gonna be called up. I mean, I'm still really wary when it comes to these rumors because when Alonso was in charge, many journalists who before were deemed really trustworthy were off many times,
Hmm.
and I'm not sure how this is with Bielsa with the communication from the coaching staff and I mean the all around the national team to the press, but Stuani for sure when you're looking at performing right here right now, it's a shout. Um, but yeah, I mean, we will go into the call-ups, which should be any time now. I mean, I know the preliminary squad was not released by Bielsa, but sure, but the international break is in 2 weeks, so this is
Hmm.
something that is approaching, and we will certainly discuss. But Suwani with the two goals in Spain against Getafe. Um, uh, Another game in Spanish football was tonight. Espino's doing well. There's another example of a player who could be caught up. But one I wanted to touch on, which I mean, I kind of don't want to come back to it, but I kind of want to because it's remains quite an interesting talking point. It's Naita Hernandez because he played the game today for Cagliari, captain. I mean, there is no legal case at the moment when it comes to Hernandez. So I mean, I'm just asking for you if he's called up, would your reaction be? What is your I mean, because I'm still a little bit up in the air when it comes to this. I'm not sure yet.
I'm mixed. I look at it from a if I look at it through two lens. The first, from a pure footballing perspective, if you're just taking for what it is as a footballer, then he
Yeah,
deserves to be called up and deserves to be in the squad. But unfortunately, the reality and the circumstances of the situation mean that you have to take into consideration some of that stuff, especially how sensitive the topic is right now and what we're
yeah,
seeing, what happened with Greenwood and Manchester United. Alf doesn't want to get themselves in a sticky situation, and I'm not sure if they care. I'm not sure. It's hard to very judge because the Mason Greenwood situation, the details of that are so public and so
yeah.
well known. In this case, we don't know all the details. We
That's the
know
thing.
we
That's I mean
yeah.
that's the I mean I'm not don't meant to cut you off there, but that's the thing with it is I mean when I get into interactions on this topic on Twitter, there seems to be a lot of opinions there, and but none of them are actually based on facts. I mean, facts which are really facts, not just things we've heard from some source or another. So that's the tough thing about this. So that's why mostly when this topic gets discussed again, I try to stay clear of it because I don't
Mhm.
want to burn my hands off it because I'm not sure of it. But while this is still the case, well, are still not sure of what happened. For me, it's still a difficult one for Bielsa to go into. I wouldn't like to see it, to be honest. In my opinion, I wouldn't like to see it happen. But yeah, I mean, let's move clear of this for now, because Nandes, who made his debut, or is not his debut, sorry, is he made his first appearance this season as a captain in the Serie A for Cagliari. Um, another defender as well, although Nandes obviously initially started out as a midfielder, who is in Italy, isn't Facundo Gonzalez.
Mhm.
And Gonzalez, quite surprisingly, made the move from Valencia to Juventus. I mean, we knew that at Valencia he wasn't getting his chance at the first team, and his contract run out in 2024. So there was an opportunity there for clubs to come in, and eventually Juventus snapped him up. And what I like is that first he was mentioned to, or he was rumored to go to Salernitana, which is a relegation battling side in the Serie A this season, probably. But instead of going
Mhm.
there, which also should be probably a really learning experience for him to fight it out there in the down in the Serie A relegation zone. But instead of this, he's going to Sampdoria, a team which obviously historically speaking is a big team in Italy, but it was in the Serie B, currently with Andrea Pirlo as a manager, and all signs are all. I mean, it's pretty clear that he's going to Sampdoria. He's already has medical there. I think he was pictured there in the
Yeah, I
J.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's going there, and also with really when I read about the intentions of Pirlo to play, I mean, not with what we see with Maturo right now, which is battling for the position, which is good by the way. I mean, obviously I mean, you have not got an earned right to play, but it seems like he's going there to play, and I mean, we mentioned or I spoke about it a little bit off air, and I liked it. What's your opinion on this move?
Facundo Gonzalez is a defender that I think Bielsa should have his eyes all over because he is one of the best. And I'm even taking into consideration with the players that we have now currently who are older, the best technically center back that we have on the ball. He's terrific on the ball, his passing and his distribution. And the fact that he's going to Sampdoria, who's coached by Pirlo,
Yeah.
who
Oh, a little bit of delay there.
we all know is a mid.
Yeah. Well, it was a little bit of delay there.
Right?
Yeah, it's all good now. All good now. Oh, a little bit of delay there.
Oh,
Oh, no problem. No problem.
apologies. No, I was
Oh,
just saying. I think it's a hand and glove fit. I think it's perfect for him because
yeah.
Pirlo's very good technically on the ball. I mean, he has that knowledge, obviously, and he's going to pass on so much wisdom to Facundo Gonzalez as well. Of all the center backs Uruguay has currently, he's one of the best technically on the ball, and he offers. And I said Bielsa should have his eye on him because he offers something very different as a center back. He's not just one, pelotazo far and wide, who's going to get brought and dirty. He's someone who will retain the ball and recycle possession.
No, yeah, I agree. And that's, I mean, when you talk about Gonzalez, obviously immediately Boselli comes to my mind.
Mhm.
But when you look at the mix of center backs, including the ones that are already established at the national team, but also the ones coming through, it's such a variety, you know. And I'm Gaston Alvarez, for example. He's a
Oh,
quite good ball playing center back, but he's also physical. He's quick, like Morino, Santiago Morino. But then you have
mhm.
Boselli, Gonzalez, already Orajo, obviously Maturo, who could play also on the left back, left wing back. But so many qualities, so many talent in these positions.
Center back is the position I'm least worried about.
Yeah, no, I agree. And obviously, you always have to see and find out how these players develop because that remains the most difficult thing about football. We've all had these players that at 2021 we thought these guys are going to carry us or are going to be a big player for Uruguay in the future, going to go to big clubs, go on to do big things. And then eventually, this unfortunately turns out not to be the case. I mean, an example is Maxi Gomez who's going back to Cadiz probably this week. Played for Trabzonspor, came through at Defensor Sporting, came to Celta, seemed to be a revelation, and then when he went to Valencia, his career really went south. So, I mean, you never know, but for sure, if you now look at it and judging from what we've seen so far, it's quite promising for sure.
Did you see that rumor? Because you mentioned Maxi Gomez. I don't know if it was rumor. I saw a report on Twitter in that Bielsa will consider Maxi Gomez as
Oh,
a
I saw
primary
that, man.
if he loses 10 pounds of weight.
I didn't see that. What I saw is that I mean I mean if that's true, I don't know. But what that would be ridiculous. But
Yeah.
what I saw is that Bielsa urged Maxi Gomez to go to one of the top leagues in Europe
Mm.
for him to be considered again. But what I don't get with this is that I mean, the thing is that at the moment it seems like Suarez and Cavani are not being caught up, which there has been a lot of anger about this. Certainly when it comes to Suarez, but okay, but then it doesn't make sense for me to see Gomez caught up because Gomez is not going to be the future of this team. You know, you can invest in a young star to call him up who's not there yet, but Gomez is not this. I mean, I think he's 26, 27 right now, and it's not like he's in an
Mhm.
upward spiral or something like this, upward trend. So if you then for me it doesn't make sense then to call up Gomez and not to call up Suarez, because when it comes at this current moment, Suarez is still a better number nine than the Maxi Gomez. So when you're looking at right there, right now, winning the first two games in the first international break in the FIFA date, Suarez will still be a better option than Maxi Gomez. But I mean, I think we probably should have the discussion when the squad gets announced, because
Yeah, no,
I mean, yeah,
that's the sensitive topic.
it really is. I mean, first of all, thanks to all of you for being here. Appreciate that, and please get involved in the comments and just share whatever is on your mind. Whether you want to come back at something we have just discussed, or whether you want to discuss something entirely different. For example, Jordan de Arrascaeta scoring once again in Brazil, Brian Rodriguez scoring in Mexico for Club America, Federico Vinas, who scored an absolutely brilliant goal. I mean, that was
What a
love
goal!
that goal, man. Honestly, because not only did it demonstrate this, I mean, pure quality, it also demonstrated this pure instinct. You know, it was there was no thinking going on. It was just pure an instinct that this finish. I mean, I probably watched this like 10 times. This goal. It was
I don't
really
know. I
amazing.
don't know how he did it because he takes it and then one touch and then all of a sudden to have the split second
Yeah.
decision to do that is crazy.
No, it really is, and for me as well. I mean, we just mentioned his strikers. I just mentioned Maxi Gomez when he came on and was really a revelation, promising. I mean, Phineas when he came to Tigres from Juventud, no nobody knew him, and he just emerged out of nowhere and did so well. And then it died down a little bit, but hopefully this move can see him. Well, how do you say, revive his career again, because I remember also him playing for the under 23 side for the Olympic game qualifiers, and he also did really well in this tournament. So who knows? You know, it's really nice to keep following these kind of players, even though they are a bit out of the limelight. It's always nice to see them do well for sure. So Vincent says Ugarte is the best number six in the world. That's what we love to see, you know, just bigging our players up. But yeah, I mean, he's done well in his first two games. Um, Paris Saint-Germain drew both games. That's not so good, obviously, but I mean, it would be wrong to look at Ugarte for this. But yeah, it's good to see him. Really, I mean, I didn't see the second game. I saw the first game, but obviously, I mean, I try to inform myself when people watch it, and it seems like it's the same Ugarte we saw at Sporting at Paris Saint Germain. Sometimes players come in and they have to really adapt. They are a bit modest. They are a bit shy to assert themselves on the team. But Ugarte, I mean, it seems like this is not the case for him, and that's great to see. And also, it's what he needs to do at a club like that, because if you don't do that, you get washed away a little bit at a club like
Mm.
Paris Saint Germain, I think. But
He was PSG's best player in the first two games. And he and it was this is something that was said in the French press as well, and something that I read after the game. He was a standout, and even I think even Luis Enrique made some comments.
yeah,
Of just watching, I saw a bit of the first game, and then I saw a bit of the second game. I didn't watch the full games for each, but just a little bit that I caught. I thought, my God, I wish Liverpool went in for someone like that for 60 million.
oh, I understand, man.
He's a bargain. Like,
Yeah,
but
so,
I hope he continues to have a good season at PSG. I don't wish that he stays there long term. Maybe 1 to 2 years, gets the ground going, has a really good. I think they view him as a successor to Verratti potentially at PSG, but I'd love to see him in the Premier
okay, man.
League.
Yeah. So no, the connection seems to be a bit lacking. So,
Oh, is it a bit is
no,
it
it's
a bit
okay.
laggy?
It's okay. It's okay. Maybe
Okay.
if it keeps on, I'm just removing you from the stream and then you get back in. Maybe that helps. But I
Yeah,
know
yeah. I have another computer I can switch up to as
it's
well.
all good. It's all good. But yeah, I agree with you that it would have been a brilliant signing for Liverpool, and certainly I mean Liverpool now um, is crawling around for the number six, and they having to pay big fees,
Oh, they're
and
desperate.
yeah, and for Ugarte, I mean 60 million. That's it. That's it. You know, and that might seem that obviously it's still a lot of money, but not when you look at the prices that are being thrown around, yeah, regularly right now. So it's a shame. Yeah, for sure. Because obviously, I mean, I'm not a Liverpool fan, but every Suarez fan, every Uruguay fan has Liverpool, well, close to their heart, I would say. So yeah, um, Vincent, Valverde, Bellingham. Well, this yeah, you love Valverde, we do as well. But I mean that midfield from Madrid in any composition, whether it's Kroos and Modric, whether it's Camavinga, Tchouaméni, they can keep they can keep changing it around. It's really something, yeah. Okay. Danny says, player I would like to see in a Celeste shirt is Carlos Benavides. He looks solid today and would be good depth. He started today. That's I didn't watch the game, so I take your word on that, Danny. And knowing you, I mean, watching a lot of Uruguayan football, but also being well, trying to pick up the players a lot. But no, I'm just joking. But yeah, hopefully you're right, and he did well. But he started the game last week. I think he came on as a substitute. And what we know from Benavides, watching him for Uruguay under 20, but also throughout the years, is that he has got an engine. It's insane, and he's really versatile. He's quite physical, and he's certainly a good squad option when it comes to the Uruguay team. Um, and uh, so certainly when you have someone like Vecino still regularly being called up, Fernando Gorarian throughout the last few years being called up, it wouldn't be a bad shout. It wouldn't be a bad shout. But I think I would wait a little bit to see how he does this season with Alaves. But if he keeps starting, I mean, his first start obviously this season, only the second game, I know. But if he really well asserts himself as a quality La Liga player, I'm all with you, man, because he is someone who does a job. And he is quite secure in possession, not flashy, but physically and defensively, he brings a lot for sure. Yeah.
I was just looking at the game today. It was a thriller. They beat Sevilla 4-3, and he played well. He got substituted in the 80th minute, but his pass accuracy was 41%.
Okay. Yeah, that's not great. The thing is, I remember watching these kind of stats with Arambari for Getafe. It also depends a little bit on the way the team plays. And I've not watched Alaves a lot, so I'm not sure how this is. But I remember with Arambari, it was really just we don't want the ball. Just give it to them. We will kick them until they can walk again, which is obviously quite a Getafe motto. But
The
um,
other week against Barcelona, man.
yeah, I mean, I put a tweet out on, I think it was Damian Suarez, and I had Barcelona fans coming into my mentions that he's a terrorist and stuff like that, which I obviously understand, but yeah, I love it. I love to see it. Um, but yeah, so I mean, I'm not sure how much we should read into this from Benavides, but yeah, I think he's someone that we should just keep an eye on. For
Keep an
example,
eye on, yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
mean, the thing is that the midfield is so stacked nowadays. I think if this was 5, 6 years ago,
oh yeah,
he'd be in there for sure.
that's
But it's just
yeah.
it's a different time right now.
No, completely agree. I mean, you remember. I mean, I think back in that time you were still with La Celeste Block. I mean, when the La Celeste Block was running. I mean, I think you was probably at one of the training sessions when Matias Vecino came into the team, into the squad, and he was someone who wasn't. I mean, he did well in Italy, but it wasn't like. I mean, it wasn't like Torreira. When Torreira came to at Sampdoria, he was really a revelation. Someone that the press was talking about. Italy was really raving about him as such a great talent.
Mhm.
Ficino wasn't that. Ficino was solid. He did well, but he wasn't that. But even though he wasn't all that, he wasn't like some of the players we see now, like Valverde. I mean, he was miles of that, obviously. But he was still coming into the team as the new midfield leader because Uruguay back then were so lacking in quality in midfield. I mean, it was amazing to see the step up in level when Ficino came in. But
The midfield was so poor that when Vicino played his first game, I remember it was like watching Xavi. in the midfield. I remember the first
Yeah.
time he was really starting to play was in the around 2016, the qualifiers in the 2016 Copa America, and he had the first 40 minutes against Mexico. It was him, and I feel bad for him. Him and Arevalo Rios.
But he got sent off though. He got.
And I was just about to say that
Yeah.
he got sent off after 40 minutes, and then we were back to Tata Gonzalez, Arevalo Rios. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh.
Well,
But now we've come to the tournament. I mean, only bad memories there, man.
oh,
Honestly,
yeah.
Jesus. Well, okay, let's leave that. But no, I mean, back to your point about Benavides being might being an option, but it's true that there's no urgency there, for someone like that to come in to improve our midfield, because he will not improve our midfield. Obviously, he will be a good squad option, and for me, I would like to see it because I really like Benavides, having followed his career, the setbacks he's had with his injuries. But yeah, I mean, I probably, knowing Bielsa, he would probably cover like 100, 150 players. So he would surely be on their radar. But we will see. I mean, Santiago Bueno is a similar, I mean, maybe a little bit different, but he's also someone, when you look at the talent at the moment, he is not someone that I want to really get in there, but he's also someone who I would like to see get a chance in a qualifier, because he's earned this, seeing the way he's played in his first La Liga season. So yeah,
he's on the radar. He's on the
absolutely,
radar. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, no, for sure, for sure. So let's have a look. Danny says, I'm disappointed with the center backs reserved. Like, I rather see Gaston Alvarez and Joaquin Sosa than Bruno Mendes and Lemos. The thing is that I get what you're saying, but I think Bielsa is also a manager that likes to see his players play. And Jorge Sosa and Gaston Alvarez, I do agree that they are a bit more shiny. They seem a bit more promising. There's a bit more potential there. Well, although I think Bruno Mendes still has a really good center back, but Gaston Alvarez and Jorge Sosa, they are not regulars. I know Alvarez started the first two games for Getafe this season, but last season he was in and out. He was left back, he was center back. He came in for a few games, then he went out again. Joaquin Sosa, he had a good run at Bologna for a few weeks, but Thiago Motta is not counting on him every week, and he didn't play the first game this season. So, as contrast to that, Bruno Mendes and Lemos are more regular. I mean, I know that they're not playing everything, but they're playing more. And it's still a case of Bielsa needs to get results right away. I know he's a manager that trusts youth and he wants to see players develop, but the thing is, it's a national team job. It's not a club manager job,
Exactly.
which is a
Yeah.
completely different case, obviously. Yeah.
No, I
So
mean you make great points, and something I will add is continuity of players playing week in and week out is going to be more important than ever for Bielsa because of the amount of fitness that his tactical setup requires.
yeah,
So the players are going to have to be at their top shape, which is probably another reason as to why Suarez and Cavani aren't being considered. But let's not go into that rabbit hole. But but what I'm saying is as much as, and you're right, Gaston Alvarez and Sosa are better and more shiny players, but that if they have the continuity week in and week out, then they should be in there.
yeah. No, I agree, but that's yeah. So probably, yeah. I mean, we also have to wait a little bit, because although these have been the reports of those have been called up and those haven't been called up, I'm still not sure of the accuracy of it. So, yeah. Okay, Gabi says pressing is so important in Bielsa's system, and you can't press with a 35-year-old Suarez with bad knees. Also, it's time to build for World Cup 2026. I absolutely agree with that. But one thing I want to say is that I'm not, I'm not, I mean, I don't even need Suarez to be there, But what I was talking about before with Maxi Gomez and Suarez is that Maxi Gomez, if he's called up, he's not going to be playing. He's not going to be a starter, He's not, because that's not what Maxi Gomez is. Darwin Núñez will be a starter probably. Um, Maxi Gomez will be an option from the bench. And if you call him up as that, I think Suarez will be a better option for right now. Because even though you want to build for 2026, it's still a question of getting results right there and right now when it comes to the qualifiers. And okay, this current qualification process, or the upcoming one, it allows for a bit more experimenting, because normally you should have been in the top four and then the fifth place for the playoffs. Now it's, I think it's six fixed places,
Six to
and the seventh
seven.
is a
Yeah.
playoff. So that's true. But yeah, but I do agree with your point, and I think we both agree that Suarez is not the one to go with when it comes to the long term or the when you want the focal point in the Bielsa system. No, for sure.
I don't see a way that Suarez can physically make the next World Cup, no matter how much he'll try. And
No,
I think even himself, he knows that it's coming up to the end. But 30, the decision to not call Cavani, I agree with, because he had no continuity, no fitness. There was nothing there going really for him. But purely from on a statistics, if you look at the argument through statistics, Suarez deserves to be in the squad. Okay, there's that. Then if you look at it from a leadership perspective, what he brings to the camp, there's that as well. No one's asking, defending Suarez does not automatically mean that you're defending him to play at the 90. That's
no,
not what I want when I want Suarez in the squad. Do I want Suarez in the squad for other reasons? Yes. Is there a bit of an emotional bias and emotional attachment because he's given so much to the national team? Yes. But I also do believe separating that from the merits, I think there is some merit for him to be in that squad, not as a starter, but as a leader, and as B, if the game is tied and the team is, I don't know, you're down 1-0 and the team is just defending the whole time and there's not really a need to press and you need to throw in someone with quality for the last 10, 15 minutes. I think you would be absolutely crazy if you'd say that you'd rather have a Maxi Gomez be thrown into the
yeah,
game as opposed to Suarez. Suarez is the only player right now from Uruguay, no matter what his age is, he can turn nothing into something. And that alone is worthwhile to be on the bench, at least at this
yeah.
moment in time.
No, I agree, and I mean, no, I absolutely agree. And I mean, I agree, even knowing that watching most of Gremio's games, that Suarez isn't playing. I mean, he's struggling, because at the start of his Gremio stint, there were all these stats between turnaround, and still, when you only watch on Twitter when it comes to Uruguayan accounts, you sometimes get a bad impression about Suarez still being really brilliant because he's
Mhm.
not, and it's not. I mean, he's still having flashes of brilliance, but but the most important thing is that physically he is done, And even though he came out when I mean, the reports were there a couple of, I think it's 2 months ago already, when that he was going to retire, and obviously this was overblown. It was this wasn't the case, but to say that physically he is all right and still capable to continue on the highest level, this is not true. Because if you watch Gremio, and I'm sure many of you in there are I mean, really fanatical Uruguayan fans, watch most of them, and you will see that he's struggling a lot. So it's like Alessandro mentions, it's not for his 90 minutes. It's just for this occasion, this hypothetical situation that you need a goal and you want someone to deliver it in the Centenario with 50,000 people behind you. Well, no player no player would be better at the moment than Suarez. Absolutely not, I believe. And another thing Alessandro mentioned is the leadership role. And Suarez, maybe 2 years ago, would still have liked to play it. But now, I mean, I'm absolutely sure, because he's really, even though he might not come across as it sometimes when he is on the pitch, Suarez is really self-aware of where he is right now in his career. So he will be absolutely willing to take on that role. Being a player like, for example, Muslera has been the last year with Rochette, even though it might be painful because you have been there and been the focal point in either between the sticks or up front with Suarez or Muslera. It would be painful to do this, but I mean, he wants to be there because he lost Uruguay and he wants to still contribute, even though it's a lot less than he used to do. So yeah,
More so, he brings more off the field than Cavani, for example, right?
yeah,
Cavani's not going to give you the same leadership. Cavani's not going to give you that same impact. Cavani's not that one to be throwing in. I think from what I've seen, but watching both players throughout their career, is that Suarez is more of an impact coming off the bench than Cavani, in my opinion. And that's why I think there's at least a slimmer of an argument to have him in the national team. And there's also reports that Bielsa didn't even call them or didn't even have a discussion with them. And
no,
that's causing a lot of tension online between the
yeah,
Uruguayan media and defenders of Bielsa and people who are now a bit upset with Bielsa. So it's going to be interesting to see, because there's already a little bit of tension going into the the first round of qualifiers. So
And I do hate that, to be honest, because it's immediately puts people in between two camps, in two camps, and then because and yeah, I mean, some of them I think, and still we have to remember that we don't even know if this is true, and that's the thing, you should not let some rumors carry so much weight, because it's in all these big journalists from Uruguay. I mean, we can go, we can mention them all, but there's no, I mean, it's no, there's nothing, we shouldn't basically. But all of them have come out in the last few years with some spoiler news and with some absolute garbage. So I'm not, when I see something of them, even when it comes to a transfer, whatever, I just wait. I just wait because I'm not sure. So please, if you will hear some of this, don't form a conclusion, and go with it. Just wait a little bit, because yeah,
nothing's definitive. Bielsa in his first press conference, I watched the entire thing. I should have been working, but I watched the entire thing. And I remember he said in the press conference, a country like Uruguay, a national team like Uruguay, they have references in the national team that are so valuable and so respectful. So it's very important to talk to each one of them. And not only that, but let them make their case, hear them. So
yeah,
for now to hear reports that he didn't even call them is a bit weird. It's a bit
yeah,
contradictory. But I don't want to be I'll actually no, I'll speculate a little bit. And
yeah.
just
Let's go.
going off comments that Suarez has made and social media posts that he's made, he knows that Bielsa's not considering him. And I think there's a bit of inner turmoil because there's journalists that have come out, for example, on the program Punto Penal in Uruguay. People have come out and said Suarez still has value to the national team. Even Suarez in an interview said, "Oh, if I get the call from the national team, I'll still be there. I still have value. I still think I can bring something of value to the national team." Godin even said it. And then the other day he posted a picture of the best Brazilian starting 11 so far in the season or something, and he was
Yeah,
in
yeah.
with the little emoji, the
Oh,
winking
I
face
saw it.
emoji. And I'm thinking he's like, I don't know. I don't know. I think he knows. I think he's really kind of knocking on the door, but he doesn't want to make a public scene out of it. So
No, no. I mean, will be interesting, because when the squad does drop and he's not in there, it will be interesting to see the Suarez reaction. I think Cavani was there silent, because Cavani is not the one to go public with these kind of things, even though he sometimes does. But it's less, it's less. I don't know. I mean, Cavani is Cavani. He's a bit of an outsider, and that's also a thing when you look at Cavani and Suarez, who still has more to offer when it comes to a leadership role. It's obviously Suarez, because the way he's also developed during the last few years, because he wasn't always this leader. He's been a leader. I mean, he was a captain for Ajax at 23. I know that, but still, and the way he's, for example, when it comes to the under 20 team, the way he carried himself throughout this tournament, I mean, coming even to the celebrations, these are things that Cavani would have never done. Not there's anything wrong with that. I mean, it's nothing wrong with this, but
yeah,
yeah, okay. So yeah, we've talked about that a little bit. Let's just move on to the wicket section. And one player that is not, well, he's one of the lesser known players in the top five leagues right now when it comes to Uruguayans. It's Jamie Bice. And he played for Frosinone. I think that's how you pronounce it, against Napoli. And interestingly, he played in a direct duel against Matias Oliveira, and he did play well. And it's interesting because, I mean, I think he's 28 years of age. This was his third appearance in the Serie A. He made two previously with Cremonense, but he's played for the majority of his career in the second division in Italy, and mostly when he was part of a team promoting. He got back to the Serie B, to another side, a bit like, for example, Jonathan Iglesias, who promoted with Clermont Foot in France, and then after half a season he went back to a city or a Ligue 2 side because he wants to play, obviously. But now Jamie Bice seems to be really part of a team playing in the Serie A, Frosinone, and I mean, who knows? Because the wing positions,
I was just about to say that.
yeah,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of wingers we have. I mean, much more than we used to have in foreign playing abroad. I mean, but hopefully Ocampo can really shine when he comes back from injury. But there are not a lot of wingers making a case, also because they are not getting a proper chance. But Yeah. Wo- I mean, I would love to see something like this because it's just so it's different, you know. A
Mm.
player that had probably for the, I mean, has never had really the prospect of representing the national team, and now it's wide open because it really is.
Who knows? With some of the rumors that are going around with players who are being called up by Bielsa, honestly, we are in for it. I would not put any bets on who's getting called
No,
to the next list.
I mean Christian Oliveira as well, right? I mean he's been
Yeah.
mentioned, which I think isn't a bad shout because he really did well in Uruguayan football, but it's still I mean, it's still a bit unorthodox to call him up straight away, just having joined the new club as well.
I'd love Bielsa to go out, and one of the questions I'd ask him if I had a chance, if I were part of the media corps, is what is your criteria for calling up players? What can you identify 3 to 4 points right now to tell the public what the
Yeah,
criteria is? I doubt he would answer a question like that honestly, but credit to Diego Alonso, obviously one of the small things I'll give him credit for. But is that he did come out at the beginning and he said, "This is my criteria for calling up players. Here are my 3 to 4 points." Did he follow them and then went against them? Yeah,
that's
but
the thing.
at least
That's it.
he, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. What I want to say before you mentioned Alonso is that the probably why he doesn't come out is that he will be just on it. You know, just like Alonso. I mean, he wasn't. I mean, for example, I think one of I'm not kind of remember exactly what the criteria were, but obviously it had to do a lot with continuity and some of the decisions he made for the World Cup squad. They were just really, I mean, contrary to what he said. So that was the problem with it. But I mean, yeah, I do agree that it's good. I mean, the clear communication. Alonso gave really clear communication when he came in, you know, and throughout his tenure until the World Cup, and that's where it all fall down because I mean, we both really liked Alonso. I mean, why you couldn't not like Alonso when he came in and did what he did. It's just a shame that, and this is what I believe, he kind of the pressure was too much for him to lead Uruguay at a World Cup.
Alonso said all the right things at the beginning and said he was clear in his communication, but he overpromised and oversaid too much. So you need to hit a fine balance because if you set the expectations way too high for you and
Yeah,
say, "Oh, we're going to go to the World Cup, we're going to attack, we're going to do this, we're going to really attack the tournament," and you go and you do that, then it just falls so flat for you. And it's like meeting a girl online and everything looks
back
great.
back back with the go analogy, right?
And everything looks great and everything's fine. And then you go on a date in person and you're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's tough. It's tough.
No, I agree. I mean, yeah, that was the real problem with Alonso. You know, I mean, went from here to here. It was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was something. I mean, Ajay Gulasar, by the way, have you seen the ticket prices for the upcoming home game? We might be in for a very low attendance game, $26, cheapest ticket price. I know I haven't seen this, but I think the overpricing has been a thing that it's always been a problem. I think it is when it comes to Uruguay games, but yeah.
Well, they gotta pay Bielsa and then they gotta pay Tavares' pension. So, so they gotta raise prices somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, come on. Yeah, and probably they didn't have as much World Cup prize money as they would have liked, obviously, as well. So yeah.
Right, right. And no, but I had heard that I think it's going to be a low attendance game anyways because FIFA sanctioned a ban. Apparently, we were supposed to play the first home game with no attendance whatsoever because apparently there were racist chants in the Ghana game.
Oh,
I don't
they,
know.
they are
Yeah,
okay.
I read this online and on apparently Alpha appealed and then FIFA said, okay, we're only gonna close down 2 sections. I forget which ones in the Centenario, so no fans for those sections.
Okay. Well, I will get into that and have a look and also report then on Twitter. But yeah,
Mhm.
let's see. I mean, would be obviously a shame because first game in the scenario against Chile, you wanted that place to be rocking, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. Jorge Cepero says, "Hey guys, are you buying the Fabricio Diaz Brighton rumors? If it's true, it seems like a great jump for him. Yeah, I mean, Alessandro, what's your opinion on this?
I think we can move this out of the rumor category and say that it's very likely to happen, because I've been on Twitter and I've been looking very closely at what Brighton reporters have been saying, and people who are well connected in the Brighton rumor mill, and sort of those who are categorized as a high reliability tier are saying this is going to happen for 8.5 million to Liverpool for 80% of the transfer, and he's going to become a Brighton player, which I think is a perfect move for Diaz, in my opinion. You have one of the best up and coming young managers in Europe at Brighton. You have
Yeah,
Brighton with a play style that fits exactly the characteristics that Fabricio Diaz has. We have to be realistic with our expectations. He's not going to come in and play and get minutes right away in the Premier League. He'll probably be slotted into the Premier League reserve team, the U21s. He'll have to sort of make his way there. But with Moises Caicedo out the door, there is a bit of a gap in midfield for Brighton, potentially for him to sort of fight for, or at least become a bench player by the end of the season if things go really, really well. But I really, really, really fingers crossed that this happens, because this could be pivotal to his development.
yeah, no, yeah. I mean, hope I also saw some of these reports from Brighton reporters. I mean, in Uruguay, it's certainly Uruguayan reporters, but also I wouldn't all call them reporters. Also, just really just like I am, someone who's passionate about Uruguayan football and wants to make content on Uruguayan football. But they are trying to claim that it's all done and this. We have to wait and see because we just really don't know. And wait until the big guns come in and report on this because we still have to
Mm.
wait on this. But the move will be brilliant. I mean, the talent development at Brighton is I mean, come on, it's amazing. I mean, an example is Mitoma. I think the Japanese winger. And the thing with him is that some of these players like Caicedo and also I think Enciso, these are young guys, highly thought of prospects in South America, and it's good scouting, because they are there before other top clubs can be there. But when it comes to Mitoma, for example, this man played in Japan until he was 24, 23, and then he went to Belgium, and they picked him up for like 2 million, and he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. So I just hope Diaz, if he goes to Brighton, can follow the same trajectory as Caicedo, for example. Um, he certainly is a. I mean, I'm not gonna say he's gonna follow the same trajectory as Caicedo, but he's a player who certainly is capable of being a big midfielder. I mean, he's debuted at 16. He's an experienced player for his age. He's an under 20 World Cup winning captain, and certainly in the final, he was one of the most mature players of the Uruguayan side, I think. Um, so yeah, and in contrast to some of the moves Brighton has made, which really went under the radar, people didn't know about these type of players. Diaz has been someone who's been quite well known in the scouting community, probably, and for him to go to Brighton and for someone like Porto, Benfica, or Sporting, which I think is probably the best first move for him to do in Europe, to not do that and maybe later on buy him for 30 or 40 million, or maybe
Mhm.
other clubs buying it for 60, 70, is really bad. I mean, it's really sloppy, I think, for some of these top clubs.
We've seen it time and time again. It's sloppy and a bit of arrogance as well. Manchester United had the opportunity to buy Moises Caicedo for something 3.5 million.
Yeah,
They look the other way. He goes to Brighton. Look what he becomes. He gets sold for
yeah,
115, 120. The same thing with Enzo Fernandez. Liverpool had a chance to pick him up for I think 15 or 10 million when he was playing in Portugal. They look the other way. Look what happens. So there's a tendency for this to happen from the big clubs, and let's just hope the same result happens here with Fabricio Diaz. Looking at him from very quickly as a player analysis, I know the mentality is there. He's so,
yeah,
like you said, he's so mature. The retention of the ball, the recycling of the ball in possession is there. What I'm curious as to what will develop is how press resistant Fabricio Diaz is, because he's coming
true.
from obviously a place where he's not really being heavily pressed or having to do a lot of positional turnover. And in Brighton, when you're playing such a press, not very pressing base, but a press resistant, where
Yeah,
they literally they will pass the ball around the opponent within their own 6 yard box. The way they play, it's like phenomenal. If anybody's really curious, search up Brighton tactics. I'd love to see how that influences his development, and also if he's developing under that system, what value that's going to bring for Bielsa going forward for the national team.
Yeah, no, it will be interesting because it's a big leap, obviously, and yeah, but we have to see. But it's good to see players or Uruguayans moving to England,
Mm.
and also for me, I mean, it's good for players to go to Premier League. But for example, sometimes when I'm thinking of players like, for example, Federico Viñas, we mentioned him before, is Burn goal. Sometimes I hope player like this or maybe Fernando Guararian just get snapped up by a championship club,
Yeah.
just because they are doing well in Mexico, or maybe Leo Fernandez, although physically he probably isn't the best fit. But players like that who are doing well in South America, who might not be like these youngsters with all the eyes on them, but still performing well for like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 maximum. A club in the championship can snap them up, and for them it's nothing, obviously because the money in England. Sometimes I really hope these moves can materialize, but still seems a tough pathway for Uruguayans to go to England. Mostly they go to Spain. For example, Benavides was a free agent after being released by Independiente because of their monetary issues, obviously.
Yeah.
Then he was snapped up by Alaves in the Segunda, which was a brilliant move for him. Sometimes I really hope these kind of moves can go to England, because
It's
it's
tough.
it's a beautiful football country, but culturally it's a difficult move also for Uruguayans. But yeah, if Diaz can go to Brighton, it maybe opens up a little bit of a pathway with Pelistri there, with Darwin Nunez recently coming there, Bentancur coming there. Because after Suarez, even though the big success Suarez had there were also these things of the press going after him, and Uruguayans not liking that at all.
There's a
Um,
sour taste with it.
there really is, I think, yeah. And like I mentioned, I mean, Spain, Portugal, Italy, they're really much more pleasant for Uruguayans, I think, to move to when it comes to adapting to the old continent. Yeah. So yeah, yeah. Okay, let's move through the comments a little bit. We're gonna address them, but maybe not in as much detail as we just did with a few. But obviously still discussing them. Jorge says it is incredible that Uruguay has two world-class defenders that are made out of glass. I would not put Josema and Araujo in the same category just yet, um, but it is really annoying, because I mean, second week of the season, Araujo is injured again. Josema, he was already injured just before the start of the season, I think it was. So, yeah, I mean,
But Jimenez has played tournaments for Uruguay. He's lasted during tournaments.
yeah,
2015 Copa America, 2016 Copa America, I believe.
yeah,
Uh, I remember him just at the World Cup in 2018, the World Cup in 2022. When it matters, Jimenez is there. Jimenez is playing through it in a tournament where you need someone to come through. I
yeah.
don't know.
No, it's true because I made a comparison with them on Twitter, and then someone came back at me. I forgot the name. I'm sorry, but um, naming or mentioning the numbers of appearances for Uruguay, and it's true. Josima, he has missed matches, obviously, for Uruguay, but he's much more present and available for Uruguay than for his club. Um, so that's true, but still,
We
I
we
mean,
were we were a lot more forgiving when he
yeah,
was injured because his debut for the national team came in the 2014 World Cup and what he gave us in that tournament and the heart and the soul that he put in. And that was like, okay, here I am.
yeah,
This is who I am. Well, debut in the tournament. He
yeah.
debuted he
I know,
debuted
yeah.
against Colombia in the qualifiers.
That was
Even
amazing.
that was
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah. And he marked Falcao, informed Falcao out of the game.
yeah.
Araujo is yet to have that moment for the national team. So
And that's
we have no connection.
and that's why he's being battered also because people believe he doesn't want to represent Uruguay, or he doesn't really want to play for Uruguay, or risk anything or everything for it. And I don't think that's fair, but I can understand where these sentiments come from. Yeah, for sure.
Mm,
So then he mentioned Diaz to Brighton, Borbas to Fulham. I saw this, but we have to realize the source of the rumor wasn't great. So
yeah.
let's wait. And also, will be way too early. I mean, he's done well as an impact substitution for Red Bull Bragantino, but yeah, still has to really break through there for a move to Europe being well, being probably a wise move. So yeah, okay. Jorge says, I think Bielsa didn't reserve Suarez and Cavani because he's already thinking with a mindset for 2022. It sucks the way that time with the national team is ending, but it is what it is now. Yeah, it's true. Similarly with Godin, although it's different because Godin had this whole escapade at the World Cup where he probably didn't cover himself in glory. But it's annoying, but sometimes there isn't a perfect ending. That's the way it is, unfortunately. But with these things, I always believe that um, time is a great healer of these kind of things. Because Godin, when you mention him now, there's still a lot of anger, frustration with some things. But in 2 3 years, when you mention Godin, these will probably well have flown away a little bit, and then all you see is this shiny career that he's had.
No, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, Gabi says, what are your thoughts on Bielsa? Do you get a good feeling from him? Do you guys think he's the right man? Alessandro, if you want to take that first.
Yeah, mixed. It's tough. It's tough. It's a risk. It's a risk, and it's a bigger. It's actually a bigger risk than it was when we brought in Diego Alonso,
Yeah.
because there's really the potential if tensions, the management of tensions is going to be everything with this, because there will be tensions, because there will be, you're having somebody who's not Uruguayan manage the national team, who's bringing a perspective from the outside, so he doesn't have the same sentimental or emotional connections with the legacy players. It will never be the same. You can't replicate that. That's just fact, and we're already seeing it with Suarez and Cavani. Tactically, I think it's very bold. I think it's the exact opposite of how we've played in the last 20, 30 years to bring someone like Bielsa in. It's really what it signals is this sentiment within Alf to really shift the identity of how the national team plays. They must have looked at it and said, hey, we have these players, we have this midfield, we have center back, ball playing center backs, that we have midfielders such as Valverde, Bentancur, Ugarte. We can really, a striker like Darwin Nunez, we can really shift how we play. Before, when we had to set up in a 4-4-2 block and have Suarez and Cavani up front, yes, we could have, been a bit more attacking, but sometimes we had to do that out of necessity because our midfield would not even be close to matching up to the other midfield. But in this time, I think they've assessed the situation and said, hey, if we can get someone to build a foundation and a structure and lay down something very promising that will last us 10 to 15 years, because you can see the effects of Bielsa after he left the Chilean system and the rewards they reaped from that in 2015 to 2017. Obviously, it fell flat when they didn't make the 2018 World Cup. But something similar here where he lays a foundation and that could really project. I don't expect him to be coaching in the 2030 World Cup, but project Uruguay to something in 2026, 2030, for example. I think the potential is there tactically, but what it really requires, what it really comes down to, is the buy-in from the public, from the journalists, and from the ALF. And if you don't have buy-in from those three things, he's going to have a very, very tough time implementing his ideas. And Uruguayans are very naturally stubborn when it comes to this type of thing. So I worry in that area more so than I worry about Bielsa tactically. I don't worry about him tactically and his ability to change the way that we play. I think over time he's going to be able to do that, but it's going to require buy-in and patience. So we'll see. I do think in that regards, if that's the plan, then he is the right man.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good explanation. And also, quickly add to that is that my man was always Guillermo Almada. That's the man I wanted, because I really do believe he's the best Uruguay manager around. Bielsa is a bigger name, and that's also, I think, part of the reason why the AUF went with him. And the thing with Bielsa, obviously everybody knows the impact he's had on football and football managers worldwide, for sure. But the thing with him has always been is the kind of the switch from the romantic side of the way he wants to play to the trophies, to the results. And I mean, it's a bit unfair because he's not been managing Real Madrid and Liverpool all his career. That's true. But for me, and that's what you mentioned quickly, I think, is that Uruguayan fans still want to see results, still want to see the team evolve and become something. And when you see this step by step, then we will buy into this. But it will be interesting to see how this first, I think, 12 to 18 months will go, how we're going to shape this team, and if we see a real clear pathway to the new Uruguay. Because although Tabares mentioned a lot of these new players coming in, and these like recambio, certainly from the old guard to the new players, we never really saw this. We never really saw this gradual gradual pathway that we were going somewhere where we could buy into, and that's what I hope with Bielsa. I'm not gonna slate him after 2 or 4 games when things are not as good as we want them to be. But if I can see something developing from FIFA date to FIFA date and something we can buy into, for sure, we all for this because even though he's not Uruguayan, even though he might has pissed off a lot of people with the way he allegedly is handling Suarez and Cavani, it's still a manager with credentials, and his philosophy, his way of playing is really attractive as well. So yeah, and that's what we have been craving for a long time.
I agree. And my most ideal situation is that there's a perfect blend between that romantic side of football, playing super attacking, playing, his philosophy, and the innate and pure desire to win at all costs and for success that Uruguayan players have, for that to blend together. Because I believe that Bielsa's never been on a team. I mean, Uruguay is unique to any team in the world with that innate ability to just like drive towards a trophy, unlike any other team and fight against all odds. Yeah. If that can blend perfectly, then we're in for something spectacular. But I will say this, Alf, you took the risk on Bielsa. Own up to the risk. Don't back down if things don't look good early on. It will require patience, because to change a national identity and a way of playing, that's not going to happen over a year. It's going to take 3 to 4 years.
No, that's true. And one thing I'll add to that is that, I mean, Bielsa has managed good squads. I mean, the Argentina squad he mentioned was a really good squad. The Chile squad, which he really laid the foundations for the Chile squad that excelled, in around this 2014, 2016 time. But the squad he's coming across right now, I think these are the type of players that are really, I mean, some of the players, obviously not every player of them, that fit so well in his system, And also when you want to play attacking with a high line, for example, with Araujo, with, for example, Moreno, Maturo, Boselli coming through, these type of players that fit so well. So the ingredients are there for him to really make something special of it. So that's exciting, and that's what we should hold on to. There's reason to believe to really believe that this could be something special, without losing sight of also the complications that might arise. Because we just don't know. Bielsa eventually was sacked by Leeds. Was this the right decision? Who knows? I mean, but it's true that they shipped a lot of goals, but what he did there is obviously exceptional, bringing them back after 20 years, I think it was, and also playing exciting football. So yeah, we will see. Okay, Nicolas Hernandez Vidal. I think Lucho probably can't start anymore, but I think he has a role to play. Also, that I don't think I'm ready to see Uruguay without him. At the very least, he deserves a proper send-off. I agree completely, and that's also Godin will get a send-off before the Chile game, but he's retired, so that's different. But Suarez and Cavani, I mean, they obviously deserve a send-off. Whether this should be that they are being called up and play a game, I mean, the qualifiers is not a platform for that to be done, obviously. I remember, I think it was, I mean, I'm from the Netherlands, obviously. I think Wesley Sneijder got a send-off when I play a couple of minutes in the qualifiers, but these are the Euros, so that's different.
I remember Brazil had that send-off for Ronaldo against, they played Romania. And Ronaldo came on with his, he looked like with his stomach. Yeah. Came on, and I think it was like 2011, 2012. He came on and played, and the Romanian players were literally trying to give him the ball to score. It was quite funny, but we need to be careful. I agree, they deserve a send off, but the national team is an official competitive match is not the venue for a send-off.
No, I agree.
Proper send-off, we already have a perfect example how that was. Forlan had the perfect send-off in the Centenario where he had all the 2010-11 generation there, all his friends there. They give him a proper send off. Perfect. I think we should do that. I think there should be a day. Preferably the next year, given Tavares' age and condition.
Yeah, a little bit of delay again, but no
A
problem.
little bit late. No, I just wanted to say I think in a year they should have a send off in the Centenario for Tavares, for Godin, for everybody. Give them the proper respect they deserve.
No, I agree. I mean, that should be done, and the best is probably to wait a little bit. Certainly when it comes to Tabares, it's already been 6 months, but Godin will be done before the Chile game, and maybe that's a bit that's like probably speaks a little bit of the way Godin has misjudged his own situation in the national team the last 2 years. So these things should be done not on the demands of the player or the manager. They should really be done in harmony, thinking what's the best for the player. Also, in the eyes of people who are not really emotionally involved in it. So yeah, but we want to see this obviously because these are players that come on, you see Uruguay now having loads of players throughout European leagues in South America being big players. This wasn't the case. I mean, it's obviously Uruguay had big players throughout the world in the past, but the way the quantity it is right now, these three players, and not only them three, they really have put. They've made Uruguay really recognizable in world football to a larger extent. Obviously, Uruguay has incredible history, but certainly these three players have played a big role in making Uruguay more recognizable.
Exactly.
So yeah, okay. I keep mentioning, but we keep speaking a lot of time about a certain account because they are good comments. They're intriguing. So thanks for that. I mean, my cat is trying to get in the stream, but I'm sorry, man, it's not gonna happen. So, but no, thanks for the comments, guys. And we're probably gonna go on and have like 15, maybe 30
Yeah,
minutes, but that's
that's
it.
good.
Yeah, no, that's all good. Yeah, I mean, for yours, I think it's like 7 p.m. there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
For
it's
me, it's
good participation in the chat. Honestly,
no, it really is. So always, and also the familiar faces. But if you're watching and just listening, which I appreciate as well, don't be shy to put in a comment on whatever topic you want to discuss. So yeah, Balistri to Sheffield United for the season. Hopefully, Facundo finally gets a chance to play every match week. I mean, he's got 2 cameo appearances this season so far, but yeah, it would be ideal for him to go out on loan and play. But yeah, we have to see. Jorge, do you guys think Darwin will come good for Liverpool this season or soon? I'm sorry. I mean, Alessandro, I think that's you who has to answer this. I'm gonna go to the toilet real
yeah,
quick. Yeah.
go for it. Yeah, it's a question I've been wrestling with for a while. Do I think Darwin Nunez will come good for Liverpool? The answer, only Darwin Nunez knows that himself. I think he is in complete control of this situation. I know he was frustrated at the lack of minutes he got in the last game. That wasn't really his fault because Liverpool were playing a man down. They had to put on an extra midfielder to cover the gap. The situation is not looking too good at Liverpool at the moment. Gapco right now fits the system better. And I think whether Darwin Nunez comes good for Liverpool is how good he's going to be able to adapt to that system at Liverpool, playing that false nine. Otherwise, he's going to have to be more so relied upon as an option off the bench, as a wild card to throw onto the game. That's where it seems like right now. I don't know. An area which he can benefit from is his connection with Luis Diaz, for example. They have fantastic chemistry, Luis Diaz and Darwin Nunez. But like I said, do I think he will come good for Liverpool soon? My heart says he will. I think he'll have a breakout season this year. I really hope so. But my rational brain is saying it's hard to see that play out because he's not fitting into the system as well as Gapco is, for example. And Gapco's not even being played in that striker position. Right now it's Jota. Eventually it will be Gapco. I think Klopp is just trying to do that to compensate for a couple of injuries and deficiencies in the midfield. But can Darwin Nunez come good for Liverpool? It looks tactically and from a system standpoint, it looks difficult. But if he can adapt to the system, then he will reap the benefits of it. The more successful Liverpool is in their attack throughout the season, the easier it will be for Darwin. But if it's a repeat of last season in terms of form and fighting for the top four and being, from fifth, hovering between fifth and eighth place, then it becomes more difficult. Where Darwin Nunez will, I think, have a very good avenue and he'll have games to play is in the Europa League. Liverpool in the Europa League. Darwin Nunez, that is a fantastic opportunity for him to come into the team, play a bunch of minutes, score a bunch of goals, and push into the team there. But we'll see. I hope so.
Yeah. Nicolas says, Josema is a class player. Love the guy. Puts his heart and body into every challenge. Yes, he is injury prone, but it shouldn't take away from what he's given. In my opinion, he should be our captain. Well, I mean, with the first, the first two sentences, I couldn't agree more. Obviously, that's all true. Should he be our captain? He is obviously up there, and for seniority, he surely is up there. We mentioned before he was 18 when he made his debut. Played 3 World Cups already. So I think probably people will not like it, but I think it's between Valverde, Josema, and Araujo. But if you put give Araujo the captain's armband right now, or maybe Bentancur also should be mentioned, by the way. Bentancur is also someone who should be mentioned. But these 4 players are, for me, the prime candidates. And if you say Josema, you surely have a good case. But it's difficult, and I'm not gonna weigh in right now. I just don't know. For me, Araujo was the one, but after what has gone down right now, I see it's really controversial to name him captain. And obviously, he will not be in the upcoming FIFA date because he will not be there. But yeah,
there are a lot of national teams where captaincy doesn't really matter, in my opinion. But for Uruguay,
for sure.
Because of the footballing culture, the captain is everything. It's the reference point of the entire team. And I'm actually in the minority. I actually don't think Jimenez should be the captain. And I think that kind of got confirmed to me when he lost his head at the end of the game against Ghana. I understand why he lost his head and why things, went crazy. We don't need to get into how bad the refereeing was, but especially with players that are, when you're playing for Uruguay, that Gara, it dominates everything in a player. And what was so good about Tavares is that he was that calming presence. And same with Godin. Godin was that calming presence, right? And I think you need a calm captain, someone who's more level-headed, someone who won't get carried away at the heat of the moment or the heat of passion to counterbalance that sort of loose screw that sometimes, players have. So I don't know. That's my opinion.
No, that's a good point. I think that's obviously an interesting thing is then I remember when Suarez came back from this ban and played against Brazil, and he scored the goal. Obviously, he should have scored another one which Uruguay, which made history because Uruguay would have won in Brazil in the qualifier, which was the first team to beat them at home. But anyway, Suarez that game, and that's. When Suarez is captain, he always is like that. He is way more calm because he feels the responsibility and the weight of this captain's armband. And I think that's true because your captain obviously sets the tone, obviously, for the team as well. It doesn't mean that the player, when Uruguay play, you will have this passion and as captain as well, but you will still have to remain calm. Also because you're the first point of reference when it comes to communication to the referee. So in that case, Valverde will be more suited. But Valverde, although he's a captain that will lead by example a lot, he's not. He doesn't strike me as a. I don't know. I want to say he doesn't strike me as a captain, but maybe that's wrong to say. But
it's hard to say because some players will, like you just said with Suarez, will get the captain's armband and then they'll rise to the moment and they'll meet the moment. Yeah. Valverde, without the what I can judge without the armband in terms of communication with the referee, I don't know. I was not particularly happy in the World Cup against Ghana when after the penalty they gave to Ghana and the penalty was saved. Valverde went to the referee and started
Yeah,
celebrating in his face. I think that was the complete wrong move. I think with Tavares as coach, that would have never happened. I'm not coming on as a Tavares defender. I'm just trying to make that argument for that having that common.
you are. No, no, no.
No, but I just it's
No,
just
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
difficult because for Uruguay's strongest attribute, that Gara is so powerful and such a like mystical force.
yeah,
But once it passes a certain line and gets into sort of you lose your head and you're like unreasonable, then it can be their biggest weakness as well. So it's
yeah.
very important if you can contain and balance that, then and in the right circumstances, that's what makes our national team so special.
No, it's a good point, and also, I mean, we've seen throughout history the when it crosses the line, and when Uruguay really go off
Yeah.
the rails. Certainly in this darker period
Mhm.
before. So yeah, okay. Jorge says, "Do you guys have high hopes for Santiago Mourinho?"
Yes.
Um, yeah, I think, yeah, I think we both have, and hopefully, I mean, he is at Zaragoza right now. He still has to make his debut, but hopefully he can come into the team and play and have continuity. And the great thing about Mourinho is that even though I do have high hopes for him, and I do believe he can be a Uruguay player in the future. He's probably like maybe the third or fourth, maybe even a fifth when it
Mhm.
comes to his age category in the center back position, and that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy, you know. So, but yeah, I think we both have, yeah, for sure, yeah. Danny here comes with some Alonso praise, which is quite rare, you know, in these rounds. So the only positive thing Alonso did was give Balistri, Oliveira, and Rochet a chance on the national team, and that's true. I mean, he still deserves his credit, and he did. And these were big decisions he made immediately when he came in, and that's what we. That's also why we liked it, you know, because especially Oliveira, especially the left back position, we all saw that Oliveira or Espino deserved a chance over whoever was playing back then. Fina wasn't doing really well at Roma back then, or he wasn't even playing. So yeah, we wanted all of this. And Rochette, I mean, anyone but Muslera at that point, you know, after his horrific spell or his horrific run of games when he made so many mistakes. So and Pelistri obviously as well. There was his how do you say the ace in the deck or something like this.
The
Yeah,
ace under his sleeve. Yeah,
yeah.
no.
That was a
Bilistri, I give him full credit. That's the wild card. But Oliveira and Rocher, especially Oliveira, any coach with half a brain
that's true. That's true.
would have
That's true.
brought in Oliveira to the left back spot. It didn't take a genius
But
to
no,
do.
that's true. But the thing is, we were so happy because
Yeah.
we were calling out for it for a long time, you know. But yeah, no, I agree with you on that. By the way, okay, let's gonna skip a little bit. Okay, I think we have a bit of consensus here in the chat. Bentancur captain, and then Jorge comes agree Bentancur captain, and I do understand where it comes from because certainly when it comes in the last I think 18 months, Bentancur was probably the most consistent performer for the national team, and he is. I mean, I think I had some doubts about Bentancur throughout his career because even when he came to Juve and did well at start, he also had a lot of tough games, tough moments, being a bit nonchalant, bit. I mean, playing like he was in the back of his garden with no pressure at all and making silly mistakes. When he went to Spurs, there was a switch there. I mean, really a switch when Bentancur. And I think we also have to thank Antonio Conte for this. But there really was a big switch. And it might also be because he finally was assigned a set role, you know, as like the secondary midfielder, and not with this defensive responsibility, but not with a lot, you know, because at Juventus he sometimes was playing as the like the regista,
Mhm.
so that would helped, but it really helped him to evolve and to become the player that we know he was because he is so much footballing ability, but also so much physical ability. You know, he's really he's something else.
The more I think about it, pin these or remember these two comments because this could happen. And I see the more I think about it, the more I actually think it fits because strength and courage on the field and leadership. Bentancur can, I think he can bring that, especially in the World Cup. And I think about the game against Portugal. He fought tooth and nail in that. He had a better World Cup than Valverde, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
He fought tooth and nail. And fight in a game is not necessarily defined by yelling or getting up in the referee's face. The tackles he was making, he was carrying the team. The run against Portugal, I remember, where he took on 4 or 5 players by himself because
Yeah.
nobody was progressing the ball. He thought he could do it himself. And he's calm. He's level-headed. He's not a player who I think about, who I associate with losing their head or so I don't know. I think so. If he continues to mature and the trajectory continues like it was when he wasn't injured and playing consistently for Spurs, then it's definitely a possibility.
No, and a good follow-up question on that topic is, Jorge, what do you guys think will be Bielsa's midfield? I have the sensation we can't expect much from Bentancur this entire season because he's coming back from a terrible injury. It's a good point, but we have to remember, I mean, he said himself he will come back in October. So it will probably, it will take some time for him to get up to speed. But hopefully in the second part of the season, he will be back up to speed. But yeah, we know an ACLG injury, that's a big one, I've had the ACLG injury myself.
Ooh.
And I mean, my revelation, like the recovery process was completely different, obviously. But still, I mean, even if you are training day in day out with all of the best professionals, it's still really difficult. Certainly, I mean, physically you will get there again, but to go into match speed and to go into his form before the injury, that will be difficult. So yeah, but I think the midfield question is not that difficult because when at the moment 3 midfielders stand out. I mean, even though Bentancur is injured, I mean, Ugarte, Valverde, Bentancur are the ones. It's quite. I mean, yeah, Salazar. Hopefully, he does well at Braga and stuff like this. But these 3, certainly, when you look at their age, that's quite fixed at the moment.
I think Ugarte and Valverde are the 2 write-ins for sure.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 I know for sure. Besides that, I don't know. I don't know what Bielsa really has up his sleeve. It's very hard to predict something. Like I think we'll see a name in there that we don't expect to see in there. I think that there's going to be a wild card that's going to come out of left field, and Bielsa will probably have justified that using his statistics or whatever crazy methodology he's up to. But yeah, I think it'll be very interesting to see.
One who I believe will be on there is Maximiliano Araujo, just because of what he's displayed in his 2 first games. I mean, obviously it's not midfield, it's more on the wing, whether it will be left back or left wing. But he probably will be one there, especially because of the wing positions being a bit lacking, a bit light on there. But yeah, let's see. Okay, Danny, I think we're gonna take a couple of more comments and maybe round off. Speak a little bit more on the weekend, but we'll round off in the coming 10-15 minutes. But once again, appreciate you all being here, really do. And I mean, I mentioned it last stream, and we haven't really done so far, but probably make it certainly with the new season starting now, make it a bit more predictable for you guys when we go live. We will probably sit down and have a look at what's the best for both of us, and also, like I mentioned, for people to be able to joining in as well, but make it a bit more predictable so that you can expect us to go live, not that we'll be out of the blue that okay, we are there, and in that way we can also get more people on, get this conversation even more interesting with more comments. So yeah, but you can stay tuned for this. But the center back that I'm a big fan of is Joaquin Sosa, says Danny. He has a great range of passing, and his performances versus Inter last season convinced me. I hope he gets a lot of minutes this year with Bologna. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned him before, and he is an interesting player. I think he was bought for like 4 to 5 million last season, or at the start of last season. Did well at the River Plate, Montevideo, and can play even at left back, but he's probably the best at center back position, and he's a good player. I remember Thiago Motta praising him after a cup appearance in the Coppa Italia, where he made actually the mistake which led to a goal from the opponent, which eventually led to their elimination. But still, Motta praised him because he liked his performance, because he really had the bravery to play into midfield, to make these passes, to show really to trying to play football, and that's what he appreciated about Sosa. So that's a player who could really play football, Thiago Motta, and that says, I think it speaks volumes about the player Sosa is and probably can be when he develops. He is someone who surely has to improve physically, I think, when you play at the centre back position. But yeah, it's someone we have to keep an eye on, like Mourinho, like Castro Alvarez, like many others. But yeah, I also like him as well. So let's see. Um, okay, Gabi says a lot of Premier League fans say Darwin is technically very inconsistent. Do you agree with that? I kind of agree with it. To be honest, his first touch is very inconsistent. Um,
Yeah, but the thing is, there is in the Premier League as a striker, you don't need to be technically brilliant to succeed. We've seen strikers in the Premier League who aren't technically,
yeah,
gifted succeed and score goals. And Haaland's not even that technically brilliant himself as well, right? He gets away with it because he plays on such a super team that is Manchester City. It looks jarring. It looks more jarring for Darwin because he's in a Liverpool team in which we are so used to seeing being so technically attuned, such as Firmino, for that prime of Liverpool, having Firmino being so tech. Darwin's never going to be that technical type player. What he needs to improve on, what I think is more important than him being technically more consistent, is being more tactically and game aware, consistent. And that, what I mean by that is being on side more, being positioning himself more effectively during plays, especially when Liverpool are transitioning. And third, having more composure in front of the net because he gets chances. He's getting all these chances without being technically consistent. If he's putting away these chances, then all of a sudden no one's talking about how technically inconsistent he is. We're only having this conversation because he's not scoring the amount of goals that we want to see. So for me, it's more of a mental and a tactical thing than a technical thing.
No, I agree because I mean Darwin is type of player. It's true that he can have these touches where you think, Jesus, huh? I mean, is this his brother? I mean, come on, what's all going on there? But he has moments where he dazzles you with the power, but also the technique. Because even though he's technically not that consistent. That's true. But Suarez, I mean, for me, there's no comparison. But Suarez had moments where you thought of, come on, what's going on there? Bad touches, bad decisions. I mean, horrific passes, horrific shots. But throughout his career, he will get more consistent and deliver, well, 8 out of 10 times. But still, he has these moments. Even when you watch him play at Barcelona, at the height of the peak of his powers, he had these moments where you thought of, come on. And this probably would not have happened with Benzema, for example, who was more secure, more technically fine, more orthodox as well. Because that's the thing with Darwin. He's really unorthodox the way he plays. So that's why it probably it's a bit eye-catching. But we also have to remember that it's like some of these things that happen gets highlighted so much by opposing fans as well, and also with people who has an agenda against Darwin, even within the Liverpool fan base as well, that it gets exaggerated, So that's the thing as well. And yeah, I mean, and for me, like Alessandro mentioned, it shouldn't. I mean, it doesn't really even matter that much because we have seen indeed players in the Premier League score loads of goals who not. I mean, Lukaku is someone else as well who has technically inconsistencies, but I mean, for one thing I would say as well, Torres was a brilliant player, but Fernando Torres, I mean, he was probably more pleasing on the eye, but he had these moments in games as well where you were thinking, no, he's not having it today. But that was a different era where there was not really that big of a social media era then, and it's different. And now you all only remember these brilliant flashes from Torres, but that's not the whole story. and that's yeah, that's I think what is the case. Yeah,
I can remember moments in my head of Suarez, in particular, obviously 2013-14 being his standout season at Liverpool, but from 2011 to 2012, there were moments Suarez had where it was like, what the hell is that touch? What is going on?
yeah.
But of course, we don't remember those because what we're left with over time is the brilliant highlights and the moments of brilliance, right? So,
No, that's true. I mean, absolutely, yeah, yeah. No, but yeah, that no, that I think that's you hit the nail on the head there, and that's the beautiful thing when you. That's also a beautiful thing when these discussions arise. Who's the best player? I mean, the best players are always the players who played 20 years ago, because only thing you remember are these brilliant moments. That's always the way it is, you know. And yeah, so hopefully, I mean that's what we both hope, you know. Even not me not being a Liverpool fan, hopefully he can come good for Liverpool, and yeah, and
mhm.
justify his price tag. Although that's also a thing, you know, this price tag weighs heavy as well. That's yeah, okay. Danny, okay, yeah, where the comment why United fans hate him, but okay, no, yeah, but okay. One more thing, or a few more things I want to mention. Franco Gonzalez, obviously, we mentioned Facundo Gonzalez. Franco Gonzalez going to Peñarol. Was Franco Gonzalez was one of the most consistent performers of the Uruguay on the 20 side in the World Cup. He was brilliant at the Sudamericano, but there wasn't that much of an end product at the Under 20 World Cup. He did have more of an end product, but yeah, I mean, so good, so technically skilled, a great dribbler, a good eye for a pass. Yeah, physically he can improve, but he goes to Peñarol, and we talked about it off air a little bit. For 2-3 million, which is the fee as mentioned, it's absolutely ridiculous that he's not being picked up by a team, even in Argentina or Brazil, but even hopefully in Europe, what we would have hoped. But yeah, that's the way it is.
I
Yeah,
worry about that. I hope he doesn't go the way of Amaral.
no, that's true, and obviously it's different. But I do agree your thought, because it's hard, you know. I mean, the World Cup, the Under 20 World Cup, that's as big as it gets for Uruguayan or South American youngsters to like show what you're about. And after you win the World Cup, being one of the key players of the team that wins the World Cup, to then go to Peñarol, I mean, it's hard for me. I mean, it's like hard to like to see this happen and really
Yeah.
agree with it, or something like this. So yeah, yeah. So yeah, and another thing, I mean, Cavani plays this midweek in the Libertadores. Scored the goal on the weekend in for Boca, his first goal, a header from close range. But yeah, seeing him score in La Bombonera was brilliant. Darasqueta scored as well on the weekend. Probably one of the most consistent performers when it comes to the Uruguayan internationals. Yeah, I mean, plenty of things. I mean, you should probably follow me on Twitter, which probably most of you are. But then you see these highlights. But yeah, that's the beautiful thing. There are a lot of players to report on, and yeah, hopefully we can do so once again next time we are here with you. I will notify you when we go live again, but probably I will try to get with Alessandro, make something of a planning of the upcoming weeks, and then I will inform you of this. Yeah. So once again, have a look at the comments. Last comment I will take. Underdog. Hi there, man. Which players do you guys look forward most to seeing play versus Chile? I mean, Alessandro, do you have anyone in particular that you're really looking forward to?
Off top of mind, Darwin Nunez, because you're going to see Darwin Nunez for the first time play without the weight of having Suarez and Cavani in the squad. And it's all Darwin Nunez. And now you're the focal point. How is that going to work? How is that going to
Yeah.
carry out? I want to see if he has frustrations to release. Right now, he's not in the Liverpool environment. Maybe he's frustrated there. He comes to a more comfortable environment in the national team. How does that work out mentally? How does that fit with Bielsa's system as well, where things are going to be moving at such a frantic and frenetic pace, which is something that fits Darwin's style as well. So that's my number one choice to who I look forward the most.
No, yeah, that's obviously. I think it's a good pick, and for me, it will be Federico Valverde probably, because, I mean, obviously these are the two big names, but Valverde, similar to Darwin. I mean, Suarez, Cavani, Godin, all we're not sure yet, obviously, but they will most likely not be there, and then the pressure lies on or comes on their shoulders. The Josemas of this world, Arajo, obviously these two probably will not be there, but Valverde, Bentancur, Darwin, yeah, these are the guys that have to carry Uruguay in these upcoming years. And Valverde being probably the widely regarded as the best Uruguayan footballer at this moment, um, will want to, uh, yeah, show what he's about. And I mean, we know what he's about, but that will be really exciting to see. Yeah. Okay. So I want to thank you all for being here. Appreciate the comments. Appreciate you, even if you were just listening in. I really appreciate that. If you want, you can leave a like. Let's get it up to 10 likes. Let's see if we can do this. And if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. Alessandra, you can find on Twitter. I've put his tag on in the description below, just as the tag of UruguayanHeroes. And yeah, I think we probably will be back again.
We'll be back for sure.
Yeah, no, obviously, I mean, we will not finish just out of, but maybe even towards the end of this week. But I think most probably at the start of next week again for the weekend roundup. That's probably something we want to have as a weekly thing. But probably, or sorry, maybe a game we can pick out to watch together, and then with you guys as well. I mean, pick our brain a little bit about things going on in the Uruguayans in general, and also having a look at maybe a Darwin or a Faverde, whatever. That would be also a good idea, I think. So yeah, but we will keep in touch.
We'll see.
This. Yeah,
I had a thought before we go, like a small thought.
yeah, that's okay.
It's such a big year, and we're leading up to next summer. Next summer is the Copa America in the United States.
Yeah,
and
Canada as well, right?
I think we're no, that's the World Cup. That's the World Cup.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I mean,
no, Copa
yeah,
America.
mix it up, yeah.
I for a second I thought I should know that, but then I would have heard, I would have known. But my plan, because I am in Canada, I'm right there, so I am.
Yeah.
My plan at the moment is to get the car or take a flight or go see or follow the national team. So obviously, when tickets become, more of information comes available on tickets, and we get closer to the date, be awesome to arrange a meetup if anyone who's in the States or something to get some support going, maybe see a game, but more details on that later. But it was just a thought I had.
No, brilliant. I mean, that's surely, and then with this community, then we really should be able to get a lot of people in, for example, watching a game and yeah, just really hopefully watching Uruguay do well in the Copa America for once. So yeah, it's been a while. So no, but okay. So yeah, Alessandro, thank you for being here today, man.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure as always.
And for all you guys out there, thanks for being here and watching and bearing with us for these last 90 minutes. And we will see you very soon. Bye-bye.